We've got a couple of calls standing by. Our numbers are 330-729-9977. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me tonight. Good to see you.
How you doing?
Hey, I'm well. Thank you very much. Here's our first call, and this is Tom. Tom, you're with Beatrice Cop. Please go ahead.
The crash of TWA Flight 400.
I think that was a crank call. Do you guys attract crank calls like I do?
Oh, we get them every week. Every week, Dan. Yes.
Oh my gosh. Hey, the calls will light up here in a moment, but before I do that, there's something that I was going to ask. Court jurisdiction. When you see people going to court to say, okay, we're going to stop President Trump from laying off people, how do you find a court for that? Or can you court shop to do that? How does that work?
Well, I don't know that you could.
That's called forum shopping.
Yeah, but a citizen can't challenge a presidential decision. You would probably need some kind of you'd have to allege some kind of a violation of a privilege or a constitutional issue before you could challenge a presidential decision. So,
well, I was thinking about this, though. I mean, for example, if in fact you find that we have a factory here that lays off a bunch of people, could people take that as a class action to a judge? And what court would that jurisdiction be? And it's always baffled me how they can seem to find courts, but then usually the Supreme Court shoots it down.
I guess you would need to put a little more context on that, right? So class actions, you need to develop a class first and foremost,
and there has to be some connection to the litigants, the people that are moving the court, and the area where you're alleging that some misconduct occurred. So, for instance, using your example, if you're saying there's a local factory and there were people wrongfully laid off, I mean, Ohio's an at-will employee state, so you have that issue. If it was based upon some kind of a presidential decision, that'd be a tough thing to bring here.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I was thinking about is that through DOJ, they've decided to lay off a bunch of government workers, but someone is bringing a case on behalf of the government workers, as far as I can tell, to try to get this resolved in the courts. And I just wondered what jury who has that jurisdiction, and that's kind of unusual, isn't it, to do something like that, to challenge a decision that's made.
Yeah, so and we've kind of seen that in the last several months. That's one of the things that the Supreme Court just addressed, actually. So it all depends. Like, I mean, if you look at the Norfolk Southern case, which we've got some involvement in, that's something that happened in this jurisdiction. So this jurisdiction would be the jurisdiction that you would file the lawsuit. It's in the Northern District of Ohio. Judge Pearson has that case. So you can't forum shop necessarily. It happened where it happened. They filed the suit here, and then you're going to draw a judge from Judge Pearson, one of the judges in Akron, Cleveland, but you're staying in the Northern District of Ohio. So yeah. I guess the answer to that question would be some of the things that we've seen lately seem to have been shot down by the Supreme Court.
Yeah. And if you're alleging misconduct in the government, I mean, it would be a federal case. It would be filed in federal court. You're not going to do it in Youngstown Municipal Court. So
got it. I mean, I just wondered about that. I was thinking, people always say, well, the Ninth Circuit Court is a very liberal court, so people go to the liberal court.
Yeah, you can't do that. I mean, listen, you could say the Ninth Circuit is a liberal court, so somebody wants to go there. But if your issue is in the Sixth Circuit, which is this circuit, that's where your case is heard, right?
So how is this? How is this court system set up? You got the Ninth. You just mentioned, you referenced the Sixth. Are there courts all over the United States, and how high do they go?
Well, so in the federal system, there's district courts, right? And then you have the appellate courts, and then the Supreme Court. So it just depends on where you're at, but it's based on geographically where you are, what district you would be in, what circuit. The Sixth Circuit geographically encompasses a certain jurisdiction, and then same thing, different districts, different circuits.
But the trend is to shoot down anything that even is tainted by some evidence of forum shopping. If there's
Yeah.
some evidence of forum shopping, they're going to shoot it down.
Yeah, and you guys simply go to the Mahoning County Court, right? That's where you're. That's where
Well,
you
no,
guys
we
practice law.
we go all over.
Yeah,
You
no.
know.
So I mean, when there's an issue that's a federal issue, it goes to the federal court. When
Yeah.
there's an issue that's a state issue, it can be in the Mahoning County Court of Common Pleas, Trumbull County, Columbiana County, Summit, Cuyahoga. It just depends where
Geauga,
the
Portage,
issue happened.
yeah.
Right.
I got it. All right.
There's
Well, listen,
jurisdiction
gentlemen,
and venue.
we've got people that want to talk to you, and we're going to put them on. We've got Barb Ewing is coming up at 6:05 tonight from the Youngstown Incubator, so stay tuned for that. But we've got legal guys here for the next hour, gals and guys, and let's go to line number 2. Hi, you're on with the law firm of Beatrice and Kopp.
Good afternoon. I heard one of the attorneys say they got some involvement in East Palestine train derailment. Wondering if they could answer why it's taking so long for disbursements to get out to claimants.
Objections have been
And
filed.
all of this money that is sitting there, is it accruing interest? Are the people going to get interest on their payments?
So right now there's a pending matter in front of Judge Pearson in federal court in downtown Youngstown, and I think that one of the issues that it's being addressed is who is responsible for paying. I think it's 600 million. I'm not certain what the number is, but that is one of the issues
Right, but
that's being
isn't
litigated
that
right
a
now.
different? I mean, hasn't all this money already been set aside apparently by Norfolk Southern? And now this is a whole different case with them claiming there should be other responsibility. So aren't those two different things?
Well, not necessarily. They've got to figure out who should be responsible to pay it until they pay it.
Okay, so then that money really hasn't been set aside as the perception was given. There's not a pot of money there sitting aside to be dispersed. They're still arguing over who's going to pay it.
I believe the money's set aside. It's just who's responsible for paying the money.
Yeah,
Is
what
the issue
percentage is
right
who's going
now.
to pay what, right? And you know what? It will collect interest. The court does have the authority to place a reasonable interest rate on it until it's dispersed.
So this could take some time then.
It could.
Thank you for your call. Have you guys, do you have clients that are involved in this, and they've hired law firms to try to collect what they've got coming?
We do have some involvement in this case. Yes.
So what is it? What's a typical award going to be? I mean, just ballpark it for someone. Is there an animal like that?
Right. You can't say right now, right? And there has been an objection filed to the class action.
Right.
So this is something that is going to take some time to really. You've got to get through the weeds on a case like this. It's a complicated case. It's a complex case. Any class action is, and it's going to take some time. You can't really ballpark what people are going to get. It really
Right.
depends on what type of plaintiff for each case, right?
And it depends on
Everybody's
your
differently
damages.
situated.
Number
Yeah,
one,
right.
your proximity to the crash site. I mean, I know that they've already set out a mileage reference. If you're so many miles from the site, you are going to collect more money than people that are further miles away from the site. So, but yeah, there's an objection that's pending that needs to be addressed before any monies could be distributed.
Well, and to the credit of the people of Mahoning Valley, most people have not filed a suit outside the affected area. I mean, you could have. In fact, I think that even our station would have been covered. It would have gone that far. But most people said, no, I wasn't damaged. Is that what you guys are finding too?
Well, yeah, I got a letter, and my house is very close to your station. So, and I took no action on it because thank
Exactly.
God I
Yeah.
wasn't damaged.
Yeah,
at all. So-
likewise. I think
you
that,
got it.
a lot of people got letters, and to your point, a lot of people did not file suit.
And you know
All
what?
right,
There's two types of people. The one person that says, hey, I sent it in. I mean, even if it's $5, it's $5 I didn't have the other day. It's free money. But fundamentally, I have a problem with that. So thank God I'm fine. I had no damages. I don't need the money. Let it be put to better use.
I think I agree with everything you're saying, and I talked about that when I was doing the regular show. So auto and truck accidents, complex business litigation, medical malpractice, they do it all. You can contact the firm of Beatrice and Kopp. They're with us for the hour, and here is our next call. Good morning. Good. I'm never going to break that habit. Hello, you're on 570 WKBN. All right. Let's take
You weren't
that.
quick enough on that one, Dan. I made that out.
I didn't hurt your ears, did I? Hi, you're on 5-7. Well, you got it there. Let's take a break, guys. We'll reset and invite you to call back. 330-729-9977. Back with the legal program in just 1 minute. Call right now. We'll put you on the air with legal.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pegol is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
And we welcome you back to our program, and we're brought to you by the law firm of Beatrice & Kopp. We have attorneys that are free of charge to you for the next 40 minutes. You call right now, we'll put you on the air. 330-729-9977. Ron is on vacation. Dan Rivers filling in for Ron. Hi, good afternoon. You're on 570 WKBN. Oh, my goodness. Hi, 570 WKBN. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and you are on the air.
Yes, thank you. I assume that the attorneys are familiar with liquor decanters that are in all kinds of shapes in ceramic that different liquor companies put out. Shape of, like I have one that's in the shape of the state of Ohio.
Yes,
Sure.
Yes, familiar with them. Absolutely. My grandfather used to collect them.
Okay. Well, there's my question. When my father passed away, he had quite a few of them, and none of them have ever been opened. The liquor is still in them.
Okay.
Can I sell those?
Yes. Well, the liquor's in them. Okay, so that's a curveball. I think you could sell them as collectibles because you're not selling them to consume the liquor. You're selling them as a collectible. I would say the value is decreased if they open it up and consume the liquor. So that's a really interesting question because there are restrictions on the sale of alcohol, but you're not selling the alcohol per se. You are selling the decanter that it is stored in. Unfortunately, all my grandfather's bottles are empty. So
splitting hairs here.
Right. So, I mean, I looked it up not too long ago. I don't think they're really, really valuable. I really don't.
No, any decanter I've bought is empty that I put the alcohol in, so I'm not sure the value of the decanter. Maybe just the decanter. I get what you're saying. It's a collector's item.
Yeah, there was a Pro Football Hall of Fame. There's a Volkswagen. They come in all shapes and sizes, and I think it's Canadian Club or it's a certain whiskey that specialized in these bottles in the 70s, and a lot of people collected them. But I don't know that there's a big market for it now. Number one. Number two, I think it's only an issue if someone calls you on it. You're selling it as a collectible. That would be your argument, that you're not selling it for the liquor that's in it. And frankly, depending on the age and depending on, whether there's been evaporation, whatever, anyone that would buy it would be buying it for the vessel that it's in and not for the contents. Right.
All right, my friend.
Yeah, some of them actually do feel like they're half empty, and yet the paper that indicates that they've never been opened is still on them.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, those kinds of things tend to not be very valuable anymore. I mean, nobody seems to want collectibles any longer. I mean, just from my own experience. How about you guys?
No, I agree. I mean, everybody thinks they have a treasure trove in their house because they still have their baseball cards from they were a kid. And I'm
Yeah,
kind of
thank you,
guilty as
Colin.
charged, but they're not that valuable. Not like they
Yeah,
used
yeah.
to be.
Yeah, so he said the joke around my house was we had a stamp collection, and then I talked to Mike down at the coin shop, and he said, I think it's worth nothing. But that's pretty much going. Yeah.
Right.
Hey, how about these the Byrna guns? Are you familiar with it? They're not a stun gun, but they shoot a projectile that some of them have pepper spray coming out of them, can make you very uncomfortable. Others make you your body can disable you for 45 minutes. I was thinking about, instead of the regular concealed carry that I have, maybe carrying a Byrna from time to time. You guys got a thought on that?
Well, I've heard the advertisements. I've heard them on the radio. I think I've seen them on television. And according to the advertisements, they're completely legal. If you're to believe what they say, that you could buy one like an infomercial. You could just send away for it and buy it, and it's completely legal. So I kind of stopped my investigation there and said, well, if they put that on television, there has to be some truth to it.
I think they're about $300 or $400, and the desire seems to be that if in fact you ever had to use a weapon to save your life or something, you wouldn't have to face litigation because you didn't use lethal force.
Exactly.
So thinking that might be the right way. Anybody else comments on that?
Yeah. So lethal force, you never know what would constitute lethal force, so you got to be careful. I mean, actually, a taser that's not necessarily considered lethal can turn lethal.
You have to meet force with force.
Right.
So if someone comes at you with
Proportionate
if someone comes at you with their fists, you can't stab them with a knife. You're going to catch a charge.
Right.
If someone comes at you with a knife, you can't really shoot them with a gun because you're going to probably catch a charge. It has to be.
Well, you
hit them with a stun gun, and they have a heart attack.
Yeah,
that's
right.
Probably on you too, right?
So technically they're considered non-lethal, but under certain circumstances they could be, and you never know. What prosecutor's office may decide to take a case like that, and it may not be a murder, but it could be a manslaughter.
Yeah, they could
You
take
just
up a
don't
charge
know,
against
right.
you. That they may not be able to convict you, but yeah, you run the risk anytime you do something where somebody has the risk of being harmed. You have the risk of being charged.
Sure.
Yep. All right, 330-729-9977. I always think it's kind of fun to think what you folks did today. Mark, what was your day like, and were you in court?
I was in court. I was in court this morning. I had a telephone conference at 8:00. I'm doing, ever since COVID, everything was always done in person. And since COVID, we now have things called telephone conferences and Zoom conferences, and the whole vocabulary has changed since COVID. So I'm not necessarily, every hearing is not necessarily in person in court, but there's telephone hearings, there's Zoom hearings. As a domestic lawyer, I go to domestic courts all over the state of Ohio. So I was in Trumbull today. I was in Columbiana County today. So I pretty much hit the ground running and, run until the radio show. And then this is my kind of downtime to enjoy the evening and drop some knowledge on as many people as possible.
Yeah, and I'm just going to guess that in domestic court, you're probably, it's really not a jury trial or not before a judge, but you just come to an agreement, the two parties. That's typical, right?
Well, yes, more cases are settled than are tried. You are not going to get a jury trial in domestic relations court. You are not entitled to a jury trial in domestic relations court. Your liberty is not at stake unless you're in contempt of a court order. Then they could put you in jail. But that's just quasi-criminal, quasi-civil. So you're never going to get a jury trial. You will try your cases to both magistrates and judges. So, most of the divorce cases are tried before a judge. Most post-divorce cases are tried before a magistrate. Temporary orders are tried before a magistrate. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a different world in domestic than it is in the general division.
All right, Mark, I haven't met your partner, but your partner, your attorney,
Frank Cassis.
Hey, Frank. Frank, what did you do today?
I was in court this morning. I was in some municipal courts, and then honestly, most of the day was back at the office. Yesterday was more interesting. I was in Cleveland. I was in Cuyahoga Court of Common Pleas, federal court, depositions. So each day is different, but today was, I guess, a little more laid back.
Yeah, before we get
Yeah.
to court, you have to lay the groundwork because you have to spend a lot of time with your client. You have to prep, you have to research, you have to prepare motions. So it's not always running from court to court. A lot of times you're at your desk preparing your motions to be filed in court, and then you have to prepare your clients for their testimony when you have to try the cases. So there's never a dull moment, Dan. Never a dull moment.
So, in the world of a lawyer, is there any such thing as 9 to 5? I'm assuming that you're taking things home almost every night.
Never.
No, yeah, I tell people that I don't have a job, I have a lifestyle.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Right,
it's no such thing as 9 to 5.
Yeah, you're never off
Well,
the
that's
clock.
it's just kind of like the talk show. I mean, you're prepping all the time, and it's become easier because you have text messages. You can text people, get guests, and things like that. It's become easier, but it's also you're more available.
Yes, and in our world, though, people have emergencies that require either legal advice or legal action. I can't tell you how many calls I get late at night where there's been a domestic violence, or they took my child and they're not bringing the child back, or when I did DUIs, they don't get pulled over between 9 to 5. So
Yep.
sometimes they do, but most of the time it's 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, and those are always fun calls to get.
Oh, boy, that's true. Hey, we have to take a short break. Tell us how we get a hold of you, Mark.
We are at the office. You could call us at 330-746-8484. And the 800 number is 800-457-2889.
All right. We have another half an hour with the Legal Eagles. That's coming back here. I'm Dan Rivers in for Ron Verb, and we'll be back with our friends from Beatrice and Kopp, attorneys at law, up until 6. Youngstown Incubator at 6.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
A 68 Camaro, candy apple red, 4-speed transmission, chrome heads, rev up, and she cast a spell.
Thank you, Ray Wiley. Ray Wiley Hubbard. That's 68 Camaro. Good to have you along. The legal guys are with us, and we are looking forward to having another half hour of calls here. 330-729-9977. We'll do our best to provide a free service to you out there that may need a little bit of legal advice. And let's start with Anthony. Anthony, you are on with Beatrice and Cop.
Well, thank you, Dan. It's good to hear you on the radio again, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, I had a question here. My grandson got caught with a speed camera. He's going 78 miles an hour in a 65-mile-an-hour zone. But he was driving my car, my wife's car. And, of course, we get a letter here, picture the back of the car, beautiful picture, with the citation. You got to send this $132 in by such and such a date, or you're going to be fined more. And you talk to people, they say that they're just tearing these things up.
Yeah,
There's something with the governor.
Let's see what the lawyers have.
These
guys, I think these guys have heard this before.
I was going to say,
have it covered.
Thank you, caller. We rarely get calls on camera tickets. This is we rarely get them. So every chance we get to talk about them, we really revel in talking about camera tickets. Understand that these tickets are they're civil citations. There's no points. It's an action that if you pay it, you pay it. People aren't paying it because if you own your car, there's a chance that you're not going to have any repercussion. Okay. They may send it to collections. They may not, but other than, you having a guilty conscience, I don't know that there's any other repercussions right now as we sit here. That's why people are saying, I'm not going to pay it. The jackpot is if you have a leased vehicle, if you go to turn in that vehicle at the end of the lease term, if you have a camera ticket, they will make you pay it. You cannot turn the vehicle back in if you have a camera ticket on a leased vehicle. Now, if it was your grandson that was driving the vehicle, you have a valid defense. So if you choose to address it, you could go to court. You could say, I wasn't driving, my grandson was. And of course, they'll go after your grandson. So I don't know if you want to put him in hot water. It's a choice that you need to make.
18 years old.
Well, he's not going to get points.
But there's no points on his license.
And his insurance won't go up because it's not reported.
And because he was in your car, it's not about who's driving the vehicle, it's the vehicle.
If I may jump in here, Anthony, let me ask a question on your behalf. If Anthony doesn't pay this ticket, and he would, does it accrue interest? Does it grow? Do you know that? Or
what? They
threaten that it will.
Right.
They say yes. They will threaten that if you don't pay, it's going to be this much after 90 days or this much after 30.
But that's one of the
60.
questions we ask. Why is it owned or leased?
Yeah, because if it's owned, then you don't have to worry about it. It's really not going to follow you around. If it's leased, then they have you dead to rights. They have you because
here's the other question, because Anthony are probably in the same category. We would normally be law-abiding citizens, but if we didn't pay it, would they attempt to wreck our credit?
No. Right now, as we sit here today, and as it has been since the camera tickets were instituted, they do not get sent to the credit bureau. Unfortunately, I have some personal experience with camera tickets because I am on the road all the time. And there is one stretch of highway between Mahoning County Court and Trumbull County Court that I seem to catch a ticket on the way to Trumbull County and on the way back. So I'm hoping that, and they just incidentally, they just outlawed these camera tickets.
Yeah. Governor DeWine, I think they're going to get banned.
Yeah, what they did is the law, I studied this, they have banned this from townships, but counties and cities can still do camera tickets. So they're still going to be with us.
And as long as a police officer, then they're valid.
Yeah, and that's the story there. But, Anthony, here's the thing. Personal advice here. If it's bothering you and you can afford it, just take it off your table and pay it. But what would you guys say?
I think that's great advice. If you have a personal issue with it and you are a law-abiding citizen, God bless you. That's wonderful. Pay the ticket. If money's tight, then
Yeah.
and you have other priorities, then I think you got to address what's most important to you.
Yeah, I think it's well said, guys.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. And guys, yeah, I think that's what we'll go ahead and do because, you want to be able to sleep at night too.
Yep.
Certainly, if this is out of the way, you can sleep.
There you go,
I
Anthony.
think I think you're on the right track there. But the theory that I've always had, and I've written extensively about it, and I know exactly what you're talking about, Mark, on the bridge that goes across the 680
Yes.
chute. How are the people in Girard served by a Girard policeman being on that bridge taking tickets for people coming down 680 or 711?
Yes.
The only thing it puts more money maybe in the treasury, but I don't really think that that's their mission statement.
Dan, I agree. It's been a money grab from day one. That's my personal opinion. That's my personal opinion. And
it's 100% a money grab.
Yeah. And I got to say, I mean, if a police officer would have pulled me over and issued me a ticket on the side of the road and said, you got to slow down, I guarantee you I would slow down. But when you don't get the ticket until like 30 days or 45, 60 days even after the picture is taken, how does that deter driving fast?
Yeah, you got it. Along the same lines, we're talking about driving. There's some really bad drivers out there. And before I left the show, I was doing rules of the road every week. And funny things had come up because you've probably witnessed this. Somebody will jump in their car and they'll crack a beer and they'll say, "Oh, don't worry, I'm in the back seat and you're driving." That is illegal.
Yeah,
is
open container. Yes, you cannot have an open alcohol container in your car, even though
somebody's in your back seat. They're going, "Oh, well, you're driving. You're not drinking. Still can't do it, right?"
The driver's going to get a ticket, or the owner of the vehicle is going to get a ticket. Yes, you are not allowed to have an open alcohol container in your car now, and it's probably a good chance that they're going to pull you out and do a field sobriety if there's an open alcohol container in your car. They're going to do their due diligence to make sure that the driver is not intoxicated. So,
all right. We're sponsored by Beatrice & Kopp. Beatrice & Kopp, attorneys at law. Gentlemen, the number again?
330-746-8484 or 1-800 Leo. 1-800. What's the 800 number? 457-2889.
Or just look for Beatrice & Kopp. All right. Next call. You're with our legal team. Please go ahead. State your question.
Hi. I have a question. My name's Ed, by the way, but I have a question concerning we had a contractor run off with $64,000 and we ended up getting him put in prison. And now that he's out, he got an LLC in his friend's name. He's doing cash under the table and he's doing all these projects. And it's just too difficult to try to prove to the court that he's receiving money, but he's receiving a lot of money. Now
let me ask you, are you being damaged by him doing this? And did he owe you money?
Yeah, there was a judgment for him to pay us $64,300.
Well, let's let Mark and his folks over there take over the case here, if you guys will. What do you think?
Have you received any of that money back?
None. He just got out of prison on December 30th, and October 30th, and his idea was he did the time. Don't need to pay.
Is there a restitution order?
Yeah, there has to be a restitution order.
There is a restitution order of $64,300, and when I was trying to get him to get more money civilly, the judge told us that was handling a civil part. He says, "Why would you want to go after more? Let's go for the $64,300 that you already have the judgment on."
Well, but that's not a judgment. That's a restitution order.
Yeah, he can go back to jail if he doesn't pay it.
Right. Well, yeah, it depends on the terms.
Well,
but if you sue him civilly and you get a judgment against him,
it's a piece of paper.
Yeah, you can use that judgment. But if he doesn't have the money to pay, it's just a piece of paper. Doesn't matter if you get $5 million or $5.
Yeah. What are you seeking, sir? So maybe these gentlemen can help you more.
I just want the $64,300 that he ended up going to prison for.
Advice, guys?
And well, he's frustrated because now he's saying the guy's working under the table under an LLC, a fictitious name, and he's getting cash and he has the money to pay me and I'm not getting paid. So what you have to do is you could
That's
file.
exactly.
All right. So what I would do is I would engage counsel. I would file a debtor's exam. When you file a debtor's exam, he is ordered to appear in court, not necessarily in front of a judge, but in court with a court reporter. You're allowed, or no court reporter, and you're allowed to ask questions about what he owns. Does he own property? Does he own a vehicle? Does he have bank accounts? How does he pay his bills? You know, and if you could find money there, once you have a debtor's exam, then you could take it to court and say, I have proven that he has money. He is collectible.
All
And
right,
they
a very basic thing. Is this initiated by our caller here? Does he get an attorney and do this?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I think that's the answer. That's probably as far as we can go today, my friend. But it sounds to me like you need an attorney, and you take them to debtor's court.
We have one, and we've done a lot of that, but he shows nothing.
No, well,
that's
Absolutely nothing.
Unfortunately,
yeah, sometimes life isn't
Yeah.
fair, and that's why he went
Yep.
to jail.
Yeah. Thank you, my friend. Thank you very much. I wish we could, you can hide the money, and it's up to you to prove that he's got it, I guess.
Right.
Line number 3 with our law firm of Beatrice and Kopp. You're on the air. Hello.
Is that me?
Yes. Thank you very much.
No,
Your turn.
I had no idea.
Yep.
Well, thank God mine's less involved than the last caller for sure.
Yeah.
I have a problem with PayPal. So somebody racked up a few $1,000s worth of stuff on a PayPal credit account. Now they refunded all but $83 of it, and that's what they're claiming is, my legitimate fault. Is there anything that can be done about that at all besides just letting it go to?
Yeah, you got gentlemen jump right.
Yeah.
in
How
there.
much is
Question
your time worth? How much is your
Right.
time worth?
I mean, you can take him to small claims, but
Yeah.
It's really not worth anything. But yeah, it's just.
I get it.
you know,
It's a principle
$83
thing, but
again for something else.
Yeah, but you know what? An $83 loss is a lot better than a $64,000 loss. Things could be much
Oh,
worse.
yeah.
The time it will take you to chase down that $83 is probably not worth it.
All right, great advice. And sometimes your time spent chasing money is not worth it. Line number 4 for the law firm of Beatrice and Kopp. Your turn, please.
I had a medical procedure done on February 27th. They made a big mistake and they left me in a lot of pain. I'm all but living on pain medicines.
All right, let the lawyers question you, if you will. Go ahead, guys.
when was the procedure?
February 27th. It was an EMD procedure on my leg, and it has left me in nothing but pain ever since. I live on pain medicines 24/7. I want to pursue a medical malpractice.
Okay. So the first thing you need to
complaint
do
against the doctor. I don't know how to do it.
Okay.
What's the first step?
So we do a lot of medical malpractice out of the office. The first thing you would want to do is come in for a consultation. Medical malpractice cases are complicated cases. Some folks,
Yes.
there's a couple facets of the case that we would want to understand and have a good understanding of it. You have 1 year to file a medical malpractice case in the state of Ohio.
A bad result is not always medical malpractice.
Right. And we're not trying to minimize your
pain.
pain here, but there's a lot that would go into that claim. And first and foremost would be, is it a known risk or complication of the procedure? And people a lot of times can't come to grips with that. Sometimes there's known risks and complications of procedures where it's not considered malpractice. It's just something that could happen.
was a
and
risk.
did happen. Right. And I'm not saying that happened with you, sir, but the first thing you want to do is you want to talk to a medical malpractice attorney, which we have here, and we would evaluate the case. And the other thing would be, one of the very important things would be, what type of damages do you have? Because you have to first overcome liability, and then how are you damaged? If it's something permanent, meaning that you have a permanent injury, that would be something that is worth more money than something that if it's an injury that there was malpractice, you were injured, but you're okay now.
Yeah. Did your doctor?
If I may, are you ambulatory, sir? Are you able to go in?
I can make those arrangements. Yes.
Okay. Well, that's the you guys really do need to see him. Is that how it goes?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, there's no way we can give any opinion on the case until we have all the facts.
All right, I would make an appointment with Beatrice and Kopp, and they're in Boardman. So good luck to you, my friend.
All right. Could I have the number again for their office?
330-746-8484.
Okay.
8484.
And then just let the receptionist know that you spoke to us on the radio, and they'll get you in.
Or they could call and ask for Ken, and he'll do the intake.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Best to you. Thank you very much. And here is our next call for the law firm of Beatrice and Kopp. Hi, you're on the air.
Hey, Mr. Rivers, good to hear your voice.
Yes, thank you.
And gentlemen, I got to tell you, I love the show.
Oh, thank you.
I have a question. It's not a hard one, I guess. But can you put me in the ballpark of how much something like a special needs trust might cost?
I
Well,
didn't quite hear what did you guys get that?
I did. I don't know that we could put you in a ballpark because, lawyers have a right to set their fees. Different lawyers charge different fees. I would call around and ask how much it would cost to create a trust. You could call the firm and we could refer you to someone.
Yeah, so we the first thing I would do is make a phone call. We can talk, figure out if it's something that we're equipped to do, and if it is, we'll most certainly do it. But to ballpark a price really wouldn't be fair right now.
Yeah, we
because
couldn't do that for
you
you.
have to know what it all entails.
And depending on the assets you're trying to protect.
But if you call the law firm of Beatrice and Kopp, they'll at least direct you to either themselves or someone that can help you set up a trust. But as you're saying, Guy, I mean, let me do this. It's more than 1,000, less than 5,000. Or is that even too?
It really does depend. A trust tends to be more expensive because they're more complicated than rather a simple will.
Yeah.
And there's more than one trust. So there are so many different trusts and so many different elements that it's hard just to kind of rubber stamp it and say it's going to cost X because we don't know what it entails.
It would
All right.
do you an injustice to try to give you a quote without talking to you.
Okay, that's fine.
Yep.
And it's 746-8484, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
You got it. You got it. All right. Back with our Legal Eagles here for our final segment. If you're online, we're coming to you. Our number is 729-9977. 729-9977.
iHeartRadio.
Roger Caron was 16 when first convicted.
Has spent 24 of those years.
Our lawyers, are you guys back?
We're here.
Okay, let me just reiterate. He said that he was pulled over, suspended license, and the police officer says, I know you have a suspended license, but the car wasn't really his. And what are the questions you have for the lawyer?
There was no traffic violation. Like, I didn't get pulled over for running a light.
Yeah.
You were driving, though.
Well, yeah, right. The the police ran your plate and they saw that the car had a
Said the car
suspended
wasn't
license.
his though.
The plates aren't in my name.
That's still probable cause to pull you over. I mean, if he determines that you have a license at that point, but if he runs your plates and it shows that the owner of that vehicle doesn't have a license, he may be able to pull you over. And after that, he lets you go. I mean, did he give you a citation?
I think where he's going with this, he's saying, how would the police officer know
He was targeted.
that he didn't have that he had a suspended license?
But you didn't, right?
He did.
Yes, he
Right.
did.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I know, broke the law, this and that. I mean, I accept that, but.
Oh,
how
okay. I'm
can
sorry.
he
I
pull you
misunderstood it
over
from.
Without,
I misunderstood
You know?
the question from the beginning. I thought that when they ran the plate, the driver
right.
had.
Yeah. If the plate was in my name.
Okay.
Yeah, that's understandable.
No,
but
no, no.
yeah,
I
the
understand
plate-
what you mean.
Well, let me ask
yeah,
you a
the
couple
plates aren't
questions.
even in my name.
Let me ask you a couple questions in Ron Verb style. Have you ever been convicted of other crimes? I mean, is there a potential
No.
that they
Nope.
recognize you and they know you from the neighborhood as a bad hombre?
Not at all.
Okay.
I didn't even live in the city. It happened in Warren.
How
I
about
don't know a single person there. They don't know me.
How about the owner of
It
the
was-
vehicle?
it was
Did the
weird.
did the owner of the vehicle? Do you know if the owner has a valid license?
Yeah, that's my father. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
I would.
No, I would ask you this question too. Why is this important to you?
Because I'm going through, I got court coming up, and
So
I just
you were
wanna
given
know-
a citation?
I always thought that they can't pull you over unless you have a traffic violation.
Well, if there's a suspicion that they know you're driving without a license, you're breaking the law.
Right.
We don't
Yeah,
know
yeah,
what
I
the.
accept that. Yeah.
Yeah, so
It's
so
just
you
he
don't know
wouldn't tell
what
me
that
why he
police
pulled me
officer,
over.
what information he's gathered.
Right.
You're.
They could run your plate whether you do anything, nothing, or something. They could run your
Right.
plate.
And if they know,
yeah.
listen, if a police officer knows, okay, that's not the dad, that's the son, and I'm familiar with the son because for whatever reason, I don't know what the reason would be, and he says he's driving the vehicle and he doesn't have a license, then he has PC to pull you over.
But I tell you what, though, that there may be a suppressible issue if the vehicle was owned by a licensed driver and there was no de minimis violation, there was no violation or justifiable cause for the stop. You may be able to suppress that ticket.
But I think that the PC is if he has personal knowledge that you don't have a license. I'm not saying I don't know how he would have
I
it.
mean, like he wouldn't tell me how he knew me.
Right. So
he came up to the car. He said, "I know you don't have a license. Hop out of the car."
So he knew something.
I'm like, "But how do you know me?" And he wouldn't tell me.
right. So if your lawyer files a motion to
rarely
suppress
use
the
warrant
evidence,
at
they
all.
put the police officer on the stand and the questions on cross
Well,
examination.
let me ask it like something that do you have like face tattoos and multiple face piercings and a mohawk and
I'm
you know
good.
anything that draws attention to you?
Not the car's a BMW. That's the only thing that can draw attention.
All right, let me ask you the big question to the lawyers. If, in fact, this comes before the court, is this gentleman going to get anywhere by saying that the police officer had no right to pull him over?
Well, he did have a right. Potentially, the only thing that he can do in this scenario is if you wanted to challenge this, you can file a motion to suppress and say there was no probable cause for the stop. But then that would come out whether there was or was not would be something that would come out through the suppression hearing.
Yeah, and it would
You don't know
satisfy
that.
you because he would have to testify as to how he knew you
Right.
did not have a valid license.
Right? Yeah, because I'm gonna try and fight it if that's the real case. Like if they can't pull you over if you know there's no.
Could I give you some
'cause
advice?
I paid $900 to get the car out of impound. And
Could I give you some
know,
advice?
If I have a chance to get some of that money back, I would love to take that.
All
Okay,
right.
let's listen to this. Let's listen to this free advice here.
Here's my advice. It's free advice. If you're going to run a suppression hearing, you better not run it. You better get a lawyer to run it for you.
No,
because
yeah, God, no. I would never do that. That's what I was trying to figure out if it's worth me, accepting the public.
Do you have any
defender or
prior
paying a lawyer?
Do you have any prior driving infractions?
No.
Why is
Okay.
your license
So
suspended?
I got pulled over. I got pulled over in a friend's car that didn't have the insurance paper in the car, so I had to go to court with the paper. Come to find out, he didn't have insurance on the car, so I was trying to wait for him to get insurance to bring the paper with me, and he still never got
So
it.
why don't
So
you
I
have a
was worried
license?
about going to court.
Why don't
And
you have
then
a
I
license?
got a paper saying I got suspended license.
Yeah, and how was your license suspended, my friend?
I didn't go to court because, like I was just saying, I got pulled over without insurance in my buddy's car.
I don't
and
think
he never
that
got insurance.
I don't think that's
And
going to favor your case. I
Right.
mean,
So-
to
so-
go back into history.
Right. But yeah,
so
I know. I was just trying to figure out.
Get a lawyer.
basically if-
Get a lawyer. Your lawyer can try to negotiate an amendment for you that's something less than driving without a license.
Or you guys, I got to go, but I'm just thinking, okay, maybe suck it up and just pay for it, right, and move on.
Well, you
what do you
could,
think?
but it depends what the charge is, right?
Well, not
So-
only that, but he's going to be back in the
Not
system. He's
just a
going to pay. He's
traffic
going to have to pay a
infraction.
reinstatement fee. He's going to have to get
You wanna
FRA
get a lawyer,
insurance.
caller.
Yeah, you got to get a lawyer.
Get a lawyer. All right, great advice. Hey guys, nice to be with you tonight, and we're here every Friday, every Thursday night, and my opportunity to be with you tonight. So thank you guys for
Thank
being
you,
on.
Dan. Great to hear you on the radio.
All right, Mark DeVecchio and